And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bubba the Bat Flip, episode 121. Going to come back with you with a recap of the Week 3 FAAB world, as we like to do week in and week out. Some awesome listener questions and much, much more. You can find myself on Twitter at BDantric and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at BatFlipCrazy. Toby, how we doing, man?
Doing well, Bubba. I'm wearing my Reds hat today in honor of Tommy Pham. And his revenge home runs against the San Diego Padres. The Padres may be destroying the Reds, and I haven't worn this Reds hat for a long time because of the way they acted in free agency and just with trading all their talent. But I will wear a Reds hat for Tommy Pham's 2 home runs against the Padres. I don't get why they keep on booing him in San Diego. Did he say something mean to them, or
he must have? I don't know the story there either. I thought he was a pretty quiet dude, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I have no idea. I can't tell you. It makes no sense to me at all. But he had to have done something to get the reactions. My only guess.
Yeah, it says, I even see an article titled, I went to Google to find out. It says, Reds Pham puzzled by boos from Padres fans.
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe they're like bummed out because he disappointed them last season. So like, screw you, Pham. You cost us the postseason. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, none of it makes sense.
It's weird.
So we'll see. But let's jump in to some FAAB. As like I said, we got some listener questions. We got some fun FAAB to talk about. More closers on the move, tradition unlike any other. So we'll kick things off for those keeping track at home or want to check. We use the online FAAB moves, the player movement page from each week. And this past week, the leader in the clubhouse added in 176 leagues for a max of $457, a min of $2, is the only Hector Neris, Toby, who looks to slot into the closer's role while Presley is on the IL with the knee issue. Reports came out saying if it was a playoff game, Presley would still be pitching. But, the velocity was murky and his production wasn't overall like compelling, like great stuff and confidence from people that had him rostered. So there might be more than just a knee thing. It's like more like, hey, let's go get you fixed up and see what we got to do here. I don't know. So what's your thoughts on Hector Neris? Because I put in some money on this week. Now, I didn't break the bank because, as people should know by now, I don't do that. But I did get a couple Hector Neris shares. You're muted.
I'm muted.
Now you're not. Now you're good again.
Oh my God, what is wrong?
You're good. You're good now.
I'm good now. All right. I hate to think of the listeners on the other end when they think they're going to get my beautiful voice at the other side of the mic and it just disappears. So Hector Neris, I was interested in him, but like you, was not willing to go too high. I think I was in like the mid-20s. I knew I wasn't going to get him. Part of it is the fact that Presley, they say that he should be fine relatively soon. We've obviously seen a lot of lies, recently from managers and general managers about how they're going to handle bullpen situations. We also heard Dusty Baker, I think, say that they were going to kind of go by a committee while Presley was out as well. So again, not things that I'm like taking to heart too closely, but also things that I will factor into how much FAAB I want to spend. Neris has been pretty good this year. Just from a results perspective, he hasn't walked a single batter in 5 1/3 innings. He's got a 31.6% K rate. Swinging strike rate, as usual, is really nice. The O swing is down a little bit. The velo is down a little bit as well. So just something to, think about, I guess. But I think he was a great addition for whether it's 2 weeks, whether it's a month. He could put together 3, 4, 5 saves potentially. And I do think that he'll get the bulk of the saves in Houston, and it's a great spot to be in. So I like him a lot.
Yeah, that was kind of my point. I think we'll recap our bids later, but I'm pretty sure I got him for like $44. I guess I got my standard bid. Like, again, not breaking the bank, but I was putting bids out for the idea that if he gets like 2 to 4 weeks of the closer's role for the Astros, that could rack up a good chunk of saves. Like that's just because that's how good that team is. Who knows? Like, I'd rather speculate on Hector Neris than go speculate on some of these podunk teams we talk about that just are a mess to deal with. So that was my mindset there for $44. But I still, like, again, I don't think I went crazy. Like we just said, someone spent $457 FAAB dollars on him. So that's the beauty of the OCs, by the way. The different bids in different leagues are just awesome. But I'm with you. Like, he's been really, really good this year. He's had the job in other teams before. He's been good and bad before too. Like, we've seen the whole Hector Neris roller coaster ride. So you never know what you're going to expect. But Rob DiPietro mentioned it earlier in the season. I believe you did.
He did. Well. Shout out to Rob.
Yeah, like they paid Neris money. Like obviously they right before the season gave Presley an extension as well, which kind of offsets that whole idea. But there was a point there where you knew that if worse came to worse, the Astros trusted Neris to take over in case something happened to Presley. So that's kind of the way I looked at it and was a little more aggressive than I usually am because I didn't like need closers, but if I can go, like I said, get 2 to 4 weeks of a guy on a lockdown team and maybe get me 5 or 6 saves, I'm willing to spend 45 to $50 on it and give it a whirl. So that's kind of where my head was this week. And in the OCs, as when we recap our moves, like I've said all preseason, I need to do a better job of churning guys that I just, are kind of fringy in 12 teamers. And that's what made me go and get like a Hector Neris by dropping like a Rafael Ortega in a 12 or something like that. Like different guys that you might not do in a 15 or kind of like suspect, where I was always guilty in the past of holding too long. I was like, I'd rather do Neris for a little while than kind of roster this like Moustakas guy who's now on the IL that's just sitting on my bench. Like it just doesn't make sense. So that was my 2 cents behind that.
Yeah, and like to your point about the 5 or 6 saves, I mean that's
tremendous.
About 10% of what you need, like the 6 saves. I mean, you need like about 70 saves or so to be at that 80th percentile marker at this point. Who knows if it'll even be that high this year, So it's a big deal to get those few.
Yeah. So that's the goal. We'll see how it works. Unfortunately, I'll probably get like 2 or 3. Presley will come back. I'll drop him. Then Presley gets seriously hurt. I'll have to pay a ton of money for him to get like 20 saves to finish the season. That's what'll probably happen because I'm like really proud of what took place now, and it'll all backfire. All right, Owen Miller. He's been the talk of the town for your Cleveland Guardians with Bobby Bradley struggling.
Bubba.
Shocker. Yes.
Breaking news.
What's up?
We may have a new closer in Kansas City.
Did it officially happen?
Staumont's in the 9th, top of the 9th, 1-run game. I have him in 2 leagues.
He's 5th on our list to talk about, so we will get to him.
Oh, man, that's going to be a juicy conversation.
Yes.
We should put it at the end of the pod so people have to listen to the whole thing.
Yes, listen to the whole pod because it's the pro Staumont pod. And this is happening
very heavily pro Staumont.
Yeah. So this is way earlier than it was supposed to happen. Like I expected this to happen, but not like 10 games into the season. So it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
I mean, we might rename this Bubba the Bat Flip, Bubba and the Bat Flip and Staumont.
Yes.
That's how big of a pro Staumont contingent we have. In our fan base, they're rabid Staumont people.
Yeah, we are the Staumontians. This is what we do around here. So like people needed to register with this and see where it is. So we will get to him shortly. We'll stay within the division and hit Owen Miller, who's got first base. I think it's only second base on NFBC. I know Yahoo, he's first base, second base coming into the season, but he's going to get you dual eligibility because he's playing a lot of first base right now, which is tremendous. With Bobby Bradley's struggles, he's hitting like 6th most days, hit 2nd yesterday for Cleveland, or Sunday, for Cleveland. And he's hit safely. Sunday he went 0 for, and that snapped a 6-game hitting streak. He's hitting for some pop. He's not striking out a ton. He's walking. It's been an up and down like minor league system for him, but people were quite aggressive on him, going as high as $3.12, as low as $1. Like I liked him for a couple bucks, but I didn't go all in on Owen Miller because if you look at his deep spring or his minor league profile, it was like it's good, but it wasn't great to me. So, what's your thoughts on Owen Miller?
Yeah, I think he's all right. Who were we talking about last week? I can't remember. Who was that like really good player on the Guardians who was had a BABIP of like 650?
Was it Mercado?
I think it was Stephen Kwan.
Oh, yes. Well done. You were setting me up. I totally screwed it up. It was Stephen Kwan.
It's all right. Yes. It was Stephen Kwan. I love Owen Miller. He is, he's amazing.
Wait, by the way, are you saying a 645 BABIP's not sustainable? Just checking.
I know. Well, let's check under the hood for Owen Miller. It appears as though there's a 545 BABIP right here and a 464 ISO. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy is the truth. On the hierarchy of Maslow's needs of fantasy baseball, on the top is Josh Staumont. Second up is Owen Miller, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I think Owen Miller's there's nothing telling me that he's like a vastly different player than he has been previously. I do think it's an interesting profile because there's a little bit of speed, a little bit of pop, but the major change that he's seen is he's seen a dramatic increase in that contact rate. The contact rate's up 14%. But it's also a very small sample. And what we're seeing, I think, is what I like to call the Royals effect. All right. The Royals effect is when your team plays the Royals and destroys their pitching staff, and all of a sudden
you're muted again. There you go.
Oh my God, am I back?
You're back.
I think
now.
I can't touch the wire or something.
Yeah,
this is
don't touch the wire.
Man, I'm gonna have to invest in a new one of these, aren't I? Gosh, I'm so cheap. But no, I mean, I honestly, like, I don't know what was in the water in Cleveland, but they were just, lights out. And the major change is the contact rate. Whether that's going to stay up or not, I'm not sure. The chase rate is exactly the same. We got to see how that contact rate stabilizes. It's certainly a good thing to see, but I don't see anything that's necessarily different that I would trust at this point. Like the ground ball rate is also down considerably, which is really good. It's down about 8%. He's always been a relatively high ground ball kind of person, but the max EV is the same. The barrel rate is up, but it's not like he's destroying the ball. Like he's got 2 barrels, 8.3% barrel rate. His average is 500. He's got a 327 expected BA. So I think this is all to say it's way too early to know. I do think that he's part of like that rotation with the Guardians where he's not going to be playing every day. Like he's going to be playing like 4 out of 5, maybe something like that. And then when he starts to struggle, we'll see. And I don't think he's going to be that good. I think he's Owen Miller.
Yeah. And then you hit on a lot of the things. Like I like the streak right now. And one thing it's tough because there's a question we'll have later, like how do we look at FAAB people? Do we see rolling grass and all these things? And it's like Owen Miller's been crushing it, but you don't get those stats. You don't get those when you add them. And so you got to like realize even if he has a good season, he's still going to regress pretty hard for a couple of weeks. Like there's going to be and now he's going to be on your roster for those couple of weeks. That's just the truth of it. He could finish the season hitting 275, which in this era is awesome. But to go from where he's at now to 275 might hurt a little bit. So that's like the hard part of what you're paying for with him. I thought he was worth a few dollars. If you want like the multi-position aspect of him, I thought he was better for 15s than 12s. I'll say that much, just because he's kind of more of a floor guy than a ceiling guy to me. I don't see like him jumping off the page. And you hit on a couple of big things there, but he is going to platoon. Like when Josh Naylor came back, Naylor slotted into first base and it moved Miller to second for a couple of games. And then Naylor would DH and then Miller would go back to first. So that's a moving thing. Andres Jimenez, if he ever decides to hit a baseball consistently, might push him somewhere. That's like the only thing working in Miller's favor right now. So, but there is a lot of rotating parts, as you mentioned, and that'll keep because the Guardians have nothing to lose by trying to get their young guys playing time if they're playing well, but they have so many young guys to move around that if they're playing poorly, they're going to try other guys. So it's just a weird dichotomy in Cleveland that you have to deal with outside of like Ahmed Rosario and J-Ram. Like everybody else is kind of up for debate right now, and that's where things go. So running wise he's hot, I guess, but like I think my bids were maybe like $15. Like I really wasn't throwing a lot out there, and it was only in leagues like where I had Javi Baez. I'm like, I could use a second baseman for like 2 weeks. Like that was about it. It wasn't like, hey, I have to have this guy. So it was one of those scenarios.
Lockdown closer Josh Staumont.
Did he get it?
He got it.
Okay. There's a runner on first last time I checked.
I think he walked a guy. See, you're a lot more slick than me. You're like looking on your computer. You're all slick. I'm like got my phone in my hand. Like I am paying attention right now. I am paying attention. I'm just trying to see what's happening. I can't do that.
It's all good. That's what we're here for. I'll drive the ship. You bring the knowledge. This is how it works. The next
bring some knowledge too, Bubba.
Yeah, once in a while. The next ad was one where our friend Toby here was ahead of the curve last week.
Well, and I thought I was ahead of the curve.
He was super nervous of being ahead of the curve because he didn't feel super confident about it. But now Hansel Robles may be the guy. He got picked up in 139 leagues, max bid of 139, low of $1. Barnes, it's been weird there because it's like he's got the back issues, but now they're saying he's healthy enough to close, but he's not closing. But he might close. It's all over the board, Toby. And Hansel hasn't pitched since the 13th when he got a save.
He pitched today, though.
Okay, good. Okay, that's a start.
He got a win, Bubba. He got a win, but he also pitched the 7th and the 8th. 1.2 innings of the cleanest baseball you have ever seen. Like I looked at his box score.
Those words don't usually come in a Hansel Robles sentence either, so that's very important.
Never.
So how confident are you in this closer spread? But then again, you got him for a lot cheaper than people did this past week.
I mean, Garrett Whitlock came in and pitched an inning. Like, I mean, if I had to choose between Garrett Whitlock and Hansel Robles, I'd go with Garrett Whitlock 100 times out of 100.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love me some Whitlock.
Let's be honest, but
since we're here,
I mean, I do have Hansel Robles starting on like 37 different teams, and he got a win today. So
that's big.
That's a bonus. That's a bonus for sure. So yeah, I mean, I was feeling a lot better on Sunday, you know, as I was seeing other people bid him up, and I had him on all of my teams. Every single team I got him for $8. Very consistent. But I don't know. I mean, it's a little bit of a mess. I think there will probably be some mixing and matching. I feel like they've got a few arms that are pitching well. They've got Robles who's pitching well. They've got Diekman who's pitching well. They've got Whitlock who's pitching well. So why kind of mess with it? Just kind of roll with the punches. Whitlock's really good. I mean, no doubt. And I don't have any of him because I thought that they were going to start him out as a starter, or then he was going to be a middle. But who knew that he could just throw like 4 innings of perfect baseball and get a save or a win, you know, whenever he wanted to. So I don't feel as great about Hansel after today. I still think he'll probably be in the mix for saves, but I really wanted to get a situation where a guy was the guy, and that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So a little disappointing, but I still love him. He's on the hierarchy of Maslow's need for fantasy baseball for sure.
Hierarchy of Toby's gift log too. It's totally there. Like it's definitely so hot.
I was super conflicted today. Like he got a win. Like do I post that and just say, hey, cut me some slack? Yeah. You know, like the rest of my pitching staffs just are god awful. Like every day it's somebody. It's like Garrett Cole today. It's like, I'll walk five Tigers in 1 2/3. All right. Like you be you know, but
it's a bad deal there. Well, it's a whole nother podcast.
There to break down that.
Wow.
I think that's like John Boy Media's specialty, I think.
Yes. I actually might have to go check that out because they might have a couple funny quips I can only imagine on that one. At least lighten the mood on the situation. But the Robles thing's weird because I didn't even realize Whitlock got the save. I just looked at it when you talked about it. Like I have Whitlock in a ton of DCs. I put bids in on him this past week. Didn't go crazy. I got him like a couple spots maybe. But it was more so because I like the idea of him. He was supposed to be piggybacking Rich Hill, which worked well, like little Yarborough type stuff. He's filthy, and then they're going to stretch him out to be a starter. When I drafted him in DCs, I thought he'd be the closer. So that's what's weird because the DCs were early, and then as things changed, I saw things in spring training, and so I'm with you on that respect. Like the way that tonight played out, you would have thought Whitlock got the inning in 2/3, and Robles would have come in and got the save. So that was bizarre. And then Whitlock was supposed to potentially start tomorrow. But that's not. I don't know. Go Boston. Go.
Oh, he was supposed to start tomorrow.
Potentially, because they're moving pieces around. They're doing all kinds of stuff. But I think that's because Houck isn't vaccinated. They're trying to mess with the rotation, so they don't need him in Toronto. So I think it was just pure speculation on how they would do it. Because that's next week, and his spot in the rotation comes up next week in Toronto. So then Whitlock would start for sure. They're trying to move things around, I guess, but apparently not. Apparently not.
But by the way, I've been doing a lot of Googling of Red Sox vaccination status.
A lot of people have. Rob
Eovaldi's
Silver tweeted.
Eovaldi's good.
Good. Rob Silver tweeted something out the other day. I don't know if it had everybody's, but it had a couple guys for sure that weren't. So that at least.
Oh, really? Who was it? It was Houck and.
Houck was one. I want to say Plawecki, which shouldn't matter. But then again, Christian Vasquez is on the IL.
Isn't he injured? Was
Christian Vasquez just on the IL? Is Plawecki hurt too? That wouldn't surprise me.
Was it Plawecki?
That shows you how much I care about.
Yeah, because Connor Wong
started today.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because like the whole A's thing with pucking them when they went in there, and so keep an eye on that fun stuff, folks. If it wasn't fun enough already, you got that going for you. But enough Hansel Robles talk. Let's get to Taylor Ward. Picked up in 129 leagues, not Tyler Ward, Taylor Ward. Max of 221, low of $2, and this one shocked me a bit, folks. Like, I get what you saw from Taylor Ward, like, back in 2019, 27 homers, 11 stolen bases. The hype train was flowing, but we really haven't seen it consistently. Came up, hit a home run on Saturday. Just another outfielder in Anaheim to me, but tell me I'm missing something. What's the deal with Taylor Ward that everyone was so giddy about?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. I was in on him. My bids ranged from like $5, not really, because I don't bid in 5s or 10s.
Yeah.
But it was like range between $5. I think the highest I had in him for him was like $63, but I got beat out every single place. I can definitely see it. I mean, he's coming into the Angels. He's going to play every day, Joe Madden says. He's going to play in the middle of the lineup. The skills are actually decent. I mean, if you look at, I'll look it up right now just so that I can tell you all. If you look at him, he's a pretty solid all around guy. I mean, the O swing for his career is at 26.8%. It's really good. His overall contact rate is at 75.7%. But there's kind of an anomaly in there, a 61.2% contact rate. Every other year, he's been better than league average at contact. The hard hit has been decent, decent like from the hard hit perspective. But if you look at his barrel rates, career at 8.6%. So he has close to, I think, 600 plate appearances. He has 548 plate appearances. He's got 16 home runs. He's got 6 steals. But he's got 29 barrels. So you're looking more at like kind of 21 home run power, maybe like 20 to 25 and 600 plate appearances. And then with the speed, I think it was influenced a little bit, recency bias of him stealing a base and hitting a jack over the weekend. But I could definitely see it, especially where he's going to be in that lineup playing every day. There's not a lot of hitting on the wire so far this year. It's been rough. So I can see where people were going with it. I didn't want to go that extreme, but I can see why you would do like a triple digit bid for him. If you needed outfield and you kind of just saw like, hey, here's an everyday player hitting the middle of the Angels lineup who is decently skilled.
My question is, how do we know he's an everyday player? Like Joe Adell went 3 for 4 tonight. Brandon Marsh is swinging a decent bat. Is it because Trout's hurt? Is that what we're saying everyday player for?
Joe Madden said he's an everyday player.
Do we believe Joe Madden now?
I mean,
that's why I was curious.
He walked a guy with the base. He intentionally walked Corey Seager with the bases loaded,
and
down one run
back-to-back times last night.
He has no reason to lie. He's an open book.
Okay, I'm just curious. There's a lot of moving parts there in that outfield. That's why it's hard for me to trust. Like I was ready to.
You're just a Joe Adell fan, Bubba.
I am, and it's so frustrating because his strikeout rate is horrible, but his hard contact rate, his barrel rates, like everything about him is phenomenal. 3 hits tonight. Like I feel like if he can just figure out a breaking ball, which is tough to do, very tough to do, because that's what's crushing him. If he can figure out how to hit a breaking ball or at least lay off a breaking ball, that kid's so talented. Like the sky's the limit for him. And so I'm scared that I even tweeted it out. I'm like, this is going to be the guy this year that I'm finally going to have to drop. And he's going to just have him. Like I always have my Matt Carpenter flashbacks. This is going to be my Matt Carpenter this year. And it's going to be terrifying. So, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's like, I can't quit him yet. And who, you know who else we can't quit? Josh Staumont.
Oh my God.
He was added in 108 leagues.
He got today.
So good. So hey, everybody, not safe for work. If you guys need to like change this real quick.
Oh man, not Josh safe Staumont. For work for sure.
Yeah. High of 249, low of 1. And it kind of started twisting this way over the weekend. It was kind of a beautiful thing for those that have been wondering. But he got the save tonight, as Toby has mentioned. But he also got a save 2 days ago on Sunday, which kind of got the ball rolling. He's been outstanding this year. And I said in the preseason that this was one of my late targets in DCs because he talked about the COVID issues he had last spring that really messed with his velo and his just overall production last year. And you could see it getting better as the season went on. And he was supposed to be the closer at one point in time. That was just pure speculating on him. And I was not a Barlow believer. And so far, so good. So thoughts on Josh Staumont?
I mean, speculate away, Bubba. Speculate away. I mean, Josh Staumont, let me read you his line from today, okay?
Read away.
1 inning pitched, 0 hits, 0 runs, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 1 K, 13 in pitches, and a save.
That's pretty good.
I mean, that is just overwhelming. I don't even know what to say. I've never seen a save quite like that save that we just I just witnessed watching my phone. Just looking at the little numbers on my phone and the updates, No, I mean, I think it's really interesting. I mean, how our brains operate around this closer situation. Like literally, I saw that Barlow was in the 7th and the 8th, and then I saw Staumont come in, and then he shut the door, and he looked dominant against the Tigers.
Twins.
Ask Garrett Cole if the Tigers are easy.
Oh,
right?
Sunday night. Sorry.
Yeah. And but it was just the way he reacted when he got that save. He was so pumped up that I was like, I threw everything away. I threw everything out, like all of the analytics, all the usage, all the leverage, everything.
He went Bubba on his bids. He went full, like he got rid of the Toby method and went Bubba, just like he's gonna go crazy here.
I didn't get that aggressive, but I was like, Josh Staumont wants to be the closer. He wants the job badly. He wants it. He's showing them. He's fired up. He's got the attitude. Everything from a qualitative perspective told me that Josh Staumont was going to be the closer of the Kansas City Royals. Now, in my bids, I got him in a couple places. I got him in one main, I think, which is fantastic. And I got him in TGFBI. There were some people that were more aggressive than I was, which was I was a little surprised. I mean, I guess everybody's going for closers right now, like really hard, but I just felt like there wasn't that much of a narrative around him, and everything that I was seeing around waiver wire and Twitter and everything like that. Maybe people were keeping it on the wraps because they know that Josh Staumont is potentially the best closer in the last 15 years. So, I mean, he's been okay this year, like including today. He's got a 3.6 ERA. The whip is a little high as usual. The walk rate is there. I think the key for me though, for him, is the velocity. It is back up from last year. Last year was down to 96.6. It's up to 97.4. I did not. Let's see what he was at. I mean, I don't know
if I should. 96.5 tonight.
He was only at 96.5 tonight.
His curveball was up.
I mean, that's super disappointing.
Barlow's stuff was down pretty good.
I saw somebody point out that Barlow's stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was Zach Waxman was saying that his stuff was really down. Man, this really isn't going along though with the.
It wasn't that bad because the season average is 96.5, so he's only down 0.4.
That's interesting. Fangraphs has it differently. I'm going to believe Fangraphs.
I'm looking Savant, so yeah.
I'm going to believe Fangraphs. But yeah, you're right. Anyways, I mean, he had one whiff on 13 pitches. I mean, geez, talk about blowing the opposition away. But no, I mean, I think it could be his gig. I mean, it could be his gig. All signs, I shook the 8 ball and it just said all signs point to yes.
I love it. This is a Josh Staumont podcast, folks. Remember that. This is the pro. Unless things go poorly, you go somewhere else. But if you want to believe Fangraphs, you look at this prospect report, 70 out of 70 fastball, 70 out of 70 curve, 30 out of 30 command. Like, he rated out pretty darn good when it came to this situation. And it wasn't too long ago where he was just completely dominant in 2020. Like I said, he had the COVID stuff. And like you mentioned his reaction. Well, that's kind of the interview I heard during spring training, how he basically was kind of ticked off that he wasn't that good last year as health-wise and just didn't get the closer's job. Like he wanted the closer's job. So we'll see where it goes. Should be fun. Should be darn fun. All right. Johan Duran went in 105 leagues, as high as 271, as low as 1. The hype train went big on last week's FAAB. I think a lot of people are like, oh man, he's still available in our leagues. Let's go crazy for Johan Duran. And it's been an interesting ride with him. Like, he's not getting the saves. He think I hit around a little bit last week from time to time, but tons of strikeouts. He's got great electric stuff, but they're not really using him in the closer's role yet. So I'm kind of torn on what to do with him. Like, he's great, but like if Whitlock is out there and Duran's out there, I wanted Whitlock. It was tough for me to go after Duran. I agree his stuff's awesome. I just don't know what Baldelli's going to do there. So what's your thoughts on Duran?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is mostly 12s. He was gone in most of my leagues. I'm not really interested because, I mean, the skills are off the charts, but I don't think he's got the role. I know he's got
I haven't
one.
Seen the role at all.
I think they had him in there with like a 4-run lead or something like that. I mean, the O swing's like 42%, the Z contact 63%. It's silly, 21.2% swinging strike rate. He's getting hit around a little bit. He's already given up 2 home runs already, 364 BABIP. So he's been unlucky. K- walk is 34.6%. I mean, he's absolutely filthy. I felt a little bad. I felt like I was cherry picking last week when I kind of was a little bit critical on him. He's even generates quite a few ground balls, 54%. So he's really, really, really good. I just don't think any of the usage in Minnesota points to him being the guy on a regular basis and a regular enough basis for me to care. I'm hoping it's Emilio Pagan. I picked him up in a number of places. I was surprised that I got him for like $20 or something like that. And he didn't pitch today. Duffy got hit around today. So we'll see what ends up happening.
Pagan's the guy I would have targeted 100%. I talked about it either with you or someone else that's where I would go. He'd be a cheaper acquisition than the other guys in your FAAB. And he's got the experience. Baldelli likes that. And if it doesn't work for the Twins, they can trade him. This is all what the Twins kind of want to do. So I like the Pagan angle quite a bit. If he's still out there, I'd be looking to go that route. Michael Lorenzen. This was a fun one. Added 105 leagues, as high as 122, as low as 3. He was filthy in 6 innings against the Miami Marlins. Everybody added him. Then he went to Houston, went 3 1/3, gave it 4 runs, walked 2, struck out 2, and gave us a glimpse of the Michael Lorenzen we've known to love. I think he can be streamable from time to time, but I was not breaking the bank for Michael Lorenzen until I saw it more than once against a team besides the Miami Marlins. That was my thought. What are your thoughts on Michael Lorenzen, who, and plus 6-man rotation, it just terrifies me there in Anaheim about the overall upside of what you can get there.
Yeah. You want to know what I did last week, Bubba?
You added Michael Lorenzen?
No, I dominated the Miami Marlins. You would not believe it. I threw a perfect game against the Miami Marlins.
Nice. It's almost like the Royals effect, as you were talking about earlier, for Owen Miller.
It is. It's like you face Miami pitching. Now,
breaking news real quick. With 1 out in the 7th inning, Joe Musgrove walked his first batter of the season.
Oh, man.
I know people might not care, but that's pretty impressive to me. That's really impressive. He's been because I have to give my hat tips when I can to him, because we've talked about how I was kind of off of him all draft season and I couldn't figure it out. He's one of the few guys making me look really bad. But back to where you were on Michael Lorenzen.
Oh, well, I was just going to say on Michael Lorenzen. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a great start that he had. It was a great start that he had against Miami, and they are a professional baseball team. So I was interested to see. It's kind of I think it's really challenging because you get like the kind of both worlds. You have one start against Miami, one start against the Astros, and then you have kind of what you have. Whether he's going to be able to do that or not, I don't think has he ever done it like that? He hasn't even been that good of a reliever recently. And now we think that he's going to be able to step up and be a really good starter. I don't know. That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. So I wasn't really in on him. After the first 2 games, O swing is right around league average. Z contact is under at 82%. Swing strike rate 11.3%. But he's got a 174 BABIP. He does have a 64.5% strand rate. He's got 9 strikeouts in 9 1/3. So he's fine so far. He's not walking guys, but he's never, his walk rate right now is 5.4%. And his career low, I guess it was 6.4% in 2016, but the last few years, 11.2, 11.6, 8.2, 9.9, 9.4. So he doesn't really have control, probably doesn't really have command. Is his stuff all that dominant? I think his velo's down because he's starting as well. I just don't see it. I see he had a really great start at kind of an opportune time, and there's maybe a little bit of a pitch mix change, but he's using his sinker more. So I don't know. I was not in on Lorenzen, not really interested in him.
Yeah, no, I'm on the same page as you. I was honestly surprised by. I honestly haven't been on Twitter a ton at all in the last week. I've just been kind of doing my thing, popping in and out. But when I was checking in on Sunday to seeing the love people were spreading for Michael Lorenzen for FAAB, I was just like, did I miss something? What's going on here? So I dug in a little bit as I was I did my FAAB before, because it's Easter. I had family stuff, and it was one of those days we talked about in seasons past. People have asked questions. That was just one of those days I'm going to set my FAAB early, and if something happens throughout the day, well, that's the way it's going to be. I don't have a choice. I'm going to go spend time with the family. So Lorenzen just never checked. I'm like, should I go check anything? I'm like, no, I'm not going to worry about it. And yeah, so far so good. I agree what you said is He hasn't proven it to us yet. Why is one starting against the Marlins going to change our mind? That's why I had to see more, and I'm okay being wrong on guys like that. So I'm with you, Michael Lorenzen. This next guy, this is a tough one for me. McKenzie Gore, added in 103 leagues, as high as 357, as low as 15. I got him in a few leagues. I did, for like $91. And I have mixed emotions on this. Very mixed emotions. It's like I'll talk about it in a minute. I'll give my 2 cents on this. But what's your thoughts on McKenzie Gore? Because he was a hot commodity. We know the prospect pedigree. We saw what he did in his spring training. We saw what he did in his first minor league start. It's an interesting one. So what's your thoughts on McKenzie Gore?
Yeah,
you can break my heart. It's okay. I'm totally torn on it right now. Yeah.
I mean, I can see all the reasons, right? I mean, he does have that great prospect pedigree. You know, he taps into that somehow. I mean, all is good. I'm just not sure if we've seen it quite yet. And he also had a really nice spring as well. I think my major questions are, number one, there are skill questions, and number two, there are questions about how long he's going to be up and how long he's going to be the starting pitcher there. Once/if Clevenger comes back, and there's one other guy who's hurt, right?
Clevenger,
Snell, and who knows when they're going to they'll come back. So those are my questions. I mean, he didn't look great in his first start. I know it was decent, but swinging strike rate at 6.8%, O swing at 23.8. Again, this is one start, so. But this is what we have to go from. 92.6 Z contact, 5% K minus walk. He had a 15% K rate, 10% walk rate. He had a 143 BABIP and an 83% strand rate. So that's why he didn't get blown up in his last start, But it's also a really good story, and it would be really good for baseball if he was electric and really good. And he's shown the talent before. I'm just not sure if we are going to see it. But you have to bid now if you want to see.
Exactly. And that was the conundrum, because I agree pretty much with everything you just said there. And that's where I'm like torn, because for me, it's like, okay, we can, like, people spent a ton on Michael Lorenzen, for instance. I'd rather spend that kind of money potentially on McKenzie Gore, that if he sticks, it's because he's showing that talent we know he's, and that's a game changer. Now, he could be back down when those guys return from the IL, like you said. And that could be like a big bummer as well. To me, spending $90-ish is still not crazy. It's not ideal, but it's not like the $300 bids, and mostly they got outbid on. So it was one of those, that was my keep him honest, like higher than normal keep him honest bid, where I was looking for, especially in a 12 team like online, this is a ceiling play. Like, give me a McKenzie Gore that can come in there and be the McKenzie Gore we hope he can be. At the same time, I know there's massive repercussions that could potentially come, and I just wasted this whole thing. So it's like we saw, in my head, is what we saw, like what Kyle Wright went for in recent weeks. We saw Matt Brash go in recent weeks, and they have, I think, more stability in the rotation. I'm not like crazy there, but at the same time, I think if you just talk talent-wise, I think McKenzie Gore is pretty darn close to those situations. And that's where it's like, if he can just find his way into that rotation. And in all honesty, Snell doesn't trust me with the most confidence of health in the world, and neither does Clevenger. Coming back from that injury, and he's already hurt again. Like, that gets me kind of curious on what's going on. And so maybe they use Gore as a piggyback until something else happens. I think they called him up for a reason. Otherwise, they would have kept him in the minors. That's my 2 cents. I could be totally wrong and just telling myself things to make me feel better about life. But I understand all the concerns. Like, I literally
isn't that all we all ever do?
Yeah, we got to give ourselves some positive reinforcements there. But I literally, when I saw I won him in, I think, 2 leagues, I was happy, and at the same time, like, I don't know if that was a good idea. So it was just like one of those things. Like, I knew I had to put bids in because I know how good he can be. And it was for teams that I needed pitching on, like where I dropped like a 2-star Waka or something like that. Right. It was like my streaming spot in my rotation. So we'll see how it plays out going forward. But I'm very aware, for anybody that wants to tweet at me and tell me I'm an idiot, I get the possible.
Nobody would ever.
Oh, not on Twitter. Not on Twitter ever. I know the possible downfalls to this move. Trust me, I totally do. But I didn't go crazy either. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up there. There's a bunch of other kind of spec guys like the Blackburns of the world. Mikolas, I wanted to tell you. Well, we'll talk about that on my ads.
What on earth is Miles Mikolas doing on any waiver wire?
Well, that's
on
why
the face of the earth.
when we recap our ads, I think you're gonna be proud of me. I think you're gonna be very proud of me. I was gonna throw that out there.
Oh my god!
But
by the way, Justin Steele, I don't get it. I don't get why people are.
Neither do I. That's another one. Yeah, there's a few of these people.
I know it's cherry picking because he sucked today, but heading into today, he had a 6.4% swinging strike rate.
He's a streamable pitcher. And so maybe. so there's a great example though. Like Justin Steele went for as high as 101, as low as $1. Someone paid more money for Justin Steele than I paid for McKenzie Gore. I'll take my gamble on McKenzie Gore than I will over Justin Steele. And again, we're cherry picking here, but Steele's the guy that should be in and on and off waiver wires a lot this season. Like I don't foresee him sticking on a team for very long. Let's put it that way. So we'll talk about more of these guys as things come along, but let's recap our moves of the week. Toby, why don't you pull those up and give me some of your ad drops for this past week?
By the way, Daniel Bard, huh?
Yeah, he got another one, didn't he?
Holy cow, he got another one.
Yeah.
Just saving the lights out of everything.
He's doing it. And right now, I'm not going to say the words, but if anybody's like sitting around doing nothing, I'd turn on MLB Network. Just going to throw it out there. Not going to jinx anything. Just going to throw it out there.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh. Max Fried?
Yep. 6th inning. Just going to throw it out
you
there.
Want to know something? Somebody asked me in my DMs if they should start Max Fried today. And you want to know what I said?
You said no.
I said yes.
Attaboy. Make me proud. Max Fried yes. For life. I said
Max Fried, you pretty much start him anywhere.
Yeah.
That's because you never know when magic can happen.
That's the darn truth.
All right. So FAAB. FAAB results. I picked up Emilio Pagan, dropped Matt Manning, picked him up for $22, backup bid of 11. So that felt pretty good, as did picking up Maikel Franco, $3 bid, $1 backup bid. I dropped Jordan Hicks. That was a little bit of a tough one. You know, Hicks, I definitely think he could be something, but when is he going to become playable? You know, like he's throwing his last outing, I think he had 25 pitches. So he's been around 35 to 25 the last little bit. Doesn't look like he's going to be using the bullpen. So he's just kind of this like middling guy. And I didn't really want to wait around for it, but it definitely was sad to cut him. But I got Maikel Franco for $3. He has a great schedule, especially early in the week. He's got 4 games, played 2 today. I think he was
had a couple
one or 2 for 6 and had an RBI single. So
hey, I just wrote him up in an article. Like as long as he's got regular playing time, that's a 20+ home run bat, and he really hits for like 260 to 270. It's not the end of the world for what he can actually do. So I think that's a great ad.
It's beautiful. Picked up Cole Irvin, who had a decent start today. He's got a 2-step against the Orioles. It's like the nicest 2-step ever. I think it's like Orioles and who else is it going up against? Let me check really quickly. Orioles and Rangers, both at home. Of course, the A's managed to put up 0 runs against Chad Ellis, you know, so we're not going to get a W there, but Irvin pitched decently well. Got him for $17, dropped Matt Strom. Picked up Drew Smiley, dropped Drew Steckenrider. This isn't a standalone league. Steckenrider just isn't that good. I mean, I don't think he's that good, and he may have access to saves. I don't think it's going to last very long. Going back to last year, he's got a sub 10% swinging strike rate. I can't just have committee guys in my starting lineup who aren't even going to strike dudes out. Sorry, it doesn't work. Picked up Maikel Franco.
There goes the perfect game.
Oh, my God. He had a perfect game, Bubba?
Yeah, through 5 and then just give up a base hit. Yeah, it was, I don't even know who that is. Hanser Alberto, the old Giants great.
Oh, my God. You had to know it was going to happen. At least it was only through 5, though, right?
Yeah, it is Hanser Alberto. That's hilarious. Yep, that's him.
Oh, man. A's just went up 2-1.
Yep, Seth Brown, baby.
Seth Brown, baby, home run. Man, why
2-run double.
My dude
2-run double.
2-run double, okay.
Yeah.
Man, rough day for Framber Valdez, too.
Yep.
Man, God, the hits just keep on coming. I picked up Maikel Franco. I dropped Ha-Seong Kim, $8, $3 backup. On the next team, I picked up Emilio Pagan, $22. Dropped Matt Strom, backup bid of $19. Picked up Jake Diekman, dropped Matt Manning, $7 bid. And then I picked up Elvis Andrews and dropped Chris Stratton. Andrews has a really nice week this week against the Orioles and the Rangers, all at home. He plays every day. Hopefully he gets me at least one steal. In the other one, Josh Staumont, pickup of the year, dropped Matt Strom 14 and 6. Ramon Urias I picked up, dropped Ha-Seong Kim $12 with $0 in backup bids, which was kind of interesting. I was surprised, but I think people probably know better than I do because Urias has not been doing anything, but he's got 7 games and 4 against the A's. Picked up Hansel Robles in my OC, dropped Matt Strom, $28 bid, $24 runner up. Picked up Jake Diekman at $4, dropped a $1 backup bid, dropped Elisier Hernandez. And then in TGFBI, it was Josh Staumont without a backup bid.
What a lazy league. What a lazy league. No backup bid and a 15 for Josh Staumont.
No backup bid.
Come on, guys.
Jonah Heim, picked him up because I have Danny Jansen on that team. In most of my leagues, I just have Jansen just occupying the spot right now. But dropped Chris Stratton, $2, no backup bid. And then finally, our shared league of Barf, where my team, I think, is ranked like 145th out of 150 in the overall
standings.
I had 26 points at one. I was like, how is that possible?
Just remember, people, Toby's going to come finish like top 10 now. This is what he does.
And we'll see. Eric Fetty, $11, dropped Matt Strom. Michael Franco, $7, unicorn bid, as you like to say it. Yeah. $7 with a backup of 7. And because I'm last place in the whole thing, I automatically get him. Matt Manning is the backup. And then I added Ramon Urias and dropped Matt Bierling.
Beautiful.
Right in time for Matt Bierling to go for 2 for 2 today, which was ideal.
All right, for me in TGFBI, I added Spencer Strider for $33, dropped Alex Colome. I'm speculating on that.
Did you hear what happened today?
No, what happened?
They sent down Noah, and they sent down one other guy too, right?
I didn't see the other one.
They sent down 2 people, and
nice.
they Tukey is coming up, but I would not be surprised to see Strider
get
hop
some
in
love.
There.
Yep, for sure. In another league, McKenzie Gore for 91, dropped Bailey Ober. Aaron Hicks, I grabbed him and dropped Garrett Hampson, who's on the IL. Hicks is leading off for the Yankees, so I'm going to take my chances there. In Barf, did I get any? Oh, yeah, here we go. I got Tyler Wade, dropped Rafael Ortega. I wanted that to multi-position with Wade. Got Mad Bum for his 2 starts, dropped Zach Thompson, 17 for 9. Grabbed Spencer Strider for 12, dropped Greg Holland. Added Michael Lorenzen for $11. Again, not breaking the bank for Michael Lorenzen, people. And the backup bid was $11, so I won the unicorn bid there. Dropped Alex Colome. And I honestly don't even know if I started him this week. I have to go check that. But I was willing to pay $11 to see what the fuss is all about, not $100 and $11. And one of my OCs, Miles Mikolas, dropped Michael Walker. Yeah, there's going to be a trend. I got me a lot of Miles Mikolas. You're going to be very proud of me.
Wow, I'm so excited for your team.
Yeah. I grabbed an early look at Lamont Wade Jr. and dropped Garrett Hampson because he's supposed to be back pretty soon. So got him for 21 now before the hype train gets rolling. In one of my OCs qualifiers, I got McKenzie Gore for 92, runner-up 91. I got Hector Neris for 44, dropping Mitch Keller, runner-up of 31. So I got those 2 there, but yeah, that was the close Gore one. And then another one, another qualifier. So both my qualifiers, I got McKenzie Gore for 91, runner-up 71. I got Hector Neris in that one. Got Jordan Hicks. He was still available somehow, so I got him for 41. Like a lot of Hicks, a lot of Mikolas this week, a lot of Neris. There's a trend.
Man, I dropped Hicks.
I'm a believer in that. They stop yo-yoing him around. Like the talent's ridiculous, so maybe I'll end up dropping him eventually. But in my second OC, I got Brandon Nimmo, dropped Seth Brown, got Nimmo for 61. I thought that was pretty interesting. Low of 37. Got Jordan Hicks for 33, runner-up 29. Hansel Robles, got him there for 31, runner-up 14. They got a cheap Jorge Lopez, cheap Tyler Wade, as I'm just churning stuff out in that league, trying to make up some ground. I got 2 more OCs to go, then I'll stop talking.
No.
Merrill Kelly for 91, back up a 76, dropped Michael Walker. Added Kyle Gibson, did not start him this week. He has 2 great matchups next week. Grabbed him for $31.
Nice.
No
I love that. I love that 1 week before bid.
Yep, no runner-up bid. Got him for 31. I thought people would be paying attention more. I guess I should. They must have just saw Coors and moved on. But dropped Greg Holland and grabbed Miles Mikolas for $26. Runner-up of 6. And he's got, I believe, got 2 nice ones next week too. I did a lot of that speculating. Like, I'm not going to break the bank for you guys. Let me get some other dudes. In my last OC, Merrill Kelly for 81, runner-up only 24 in this one. Dropped Waka, who I'll probably stream off and on all season. I think he's good in the 2-start weeks, but it's tough to pitch him just one game a week. Grabbed Hector Neris for 44, runner-up 26, and that was it. So got me a few Mikolas shares, got me some early Gibson one, lots of Neris, some Hicks. There's always a trend, it seems like, when we make moves. We got our guys we're targeting, and I did drop a handful of Pavetta this week. I just wasn't going to play that. He seems to be more streamable for me right now, which was hard to do because the robot's big on Pavetta this year, and it's only a few starts. But again, in an OC, I'd rather put Mikolas or Merrill Kelly there for now on a 2-start than Pavetta. So we'll see if that backfires. That's going to be a fun one. I believe Pavetta pitches Wednesday against Toronto.
Yeah,
so
he's
that'll
got
be
Toronto, and then next week,
he had a tough
what
schedule.
do we have?
I think at Toronto.
Next week he'll be
it's a tough
Toronto.
I can potentially add him next week for like $2 probably.
At Toronto, and then but then he's got the Orioles.
Yeah, that's why.
God, they do that. They do that to us.
Yeah, you add him next week for cheap,
right?
Like if somehow maybe Jordan Hicks gets just shoved into the 7th inning role, drop Hicks, grab Pavetta for like $3. We're back at it. That's the fun of this game, isn't it, Toby? So much fun. Sure. Just the constant flipping stuff around. But that's one thing I try to do is what we talk about, that RotoWire starting pitcher grid. I almost focus more on the next week's line than the week we're on. That's just something I do to try. Does it work every time? Heck no. But like the Waka thing worked pretty well when I told you I was drafting him with my 30th pick, or I grabbed him in first FAABs. Doesn't work it does not work all the time. I did that with Austin Gomber last year. We know how that went. So it's just, I'd rather do it cheaper if it's going to be an interesting situation than break the bank. That's the theory behind that. All right, let's talk some listener questions for everybody before we head on out of this lovely show. Our buddy Dave Petroziello comes at us. I tweeted this the other day. I hate to bash Don Mattingly because he was my favorite player as a kid, but I feel like he benches Sanchez and Chisholm against lefties, and I know Bubba's with me on Chisholm to prove that he understands analytics. They both have good splits against lefties, and they're the team's 2 brightest young stars. It makes no sense. There's no question, but he's angry, and I get it. Chisholm's actually raking right now. He's never going to hit for a high average. On top of my head, he's like at 260-ish, but he's getting triples and homers, and he's not stealing bases because it's hard to steal after you get to third base. But Sanchez did lead off on Tuesday night because Soler sat. Chisholm still sat at the bottom of the order. But those 2 guys are studs, and eventually you'd have to imagine if they keep hitting, you can't keep putting them at the bottom. Sanchez hasn't been at the bottom. Sanchez has been in the middle of the order. So we'll see what happens. But that's my 2 cents. There really wasn't a question there. If you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I think Soler is a very high OBP guy, or not like a very high OBP guy, but he walks a lot. I don't know. I mean, the problem, I think the challenge is like, we are always looking at these things in the context of fantasy.
Yeah, they don't care.
And they don't care.
Don Mattingly 100% does not care about your fantasy team.
I'd rather see Jazz Chisholm hit a lot more, right? So it probably doesn't make sense from a baseball perspective either. I don't know, but yeah, it's tough. It's like we all want Kyle Tucker to hit higher up in the lineup, but
I'm just glad for now that Chisholm, he's been more consistently playing. It was like that first week he was getting platoons. Maybe that was just to let that one go. Because I remember Craig Mish tweeted out the first time Chisholm got benched, and Chisholm was in the dugout retweeting people's negative. It was pretty funny. And I thought that was going to get him kicked off the team the way Don Mattingly works. I'm like, Chisholm, stop it. But Mish tweeted out when that was all going down to kind of calm us down fantasy-wise, that Don Mattingly makes it a point every year to get every player in at least one start for the opening series.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of his way of doing it. Hey, lefty's on the mound. Let's get Birdie out there. We haven't really seen a whole lot of that since. So crossing my fingers. Now, higher in the order would be great, but just keep playing every day. I'll live with that for now. Ryan Roof, our good buddy from RotoWire, asks, I dropped Bryson Stott in one of my OCs to pick up Manny Margot. He had some good lefty matchups this week, as I had good middle infield depth already with Brandon Lau, Ahmed Rosario, and Jeremy Pena. I feel like it was the right move, but one that could eventually come back to bite me. Did I make a mistake dropping him in a 12? The only thing I would say is it's tough to drop him with the Coors series coming up, but he didn't even start today. He pinch hit, didn't do anything. And he hasn't had a hit since the first game of the season where he went 2 for 4. Or no, he had a hit in the 13th. He has 2 games with hits, otherwise nothing. It's been rough for Bryson Stott. Like, so much so that Baum is getting more playing time. And if Baum, I think, had regular good defensive skills, Stott would be in the minor leagues right now. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I don't think you made a mistake, especially in a 12.
Yeah.
I think he's a dime a dozen.
Those are the tough moves
honestly,
you got to do. That's just the way it works.
Yeah, and the rookies have been awful. Like almost every single one except for Jeremy Pena has been horrible.
Julio got his 3rd steal tonight.
He did.
He's
for sure.
Starting to get at least get on, and he's getting squeezed. I'll give that much. If you've probably seen those tweets about those are some bad deals.
They are. I mean, the thing is, like Julio, when you looked at his projection for 600 plate appearances, he was like 2010. Yeah, that's something. Like Stott is like 12-8, and like in a 12, you just stream Manny Margot against a bunch of lefties, and
is the right move.
You're fine. Yeah.
Good job, Roof. Good job. Richard Sands, our buddy, asks, in a FAAB league with a 7-man bench, no IL, sounds like an FBC. Would you pick up Chris Sale even if you have some lesser guys on the IL already? If so, how much would you bid on him? This is a fun one because, like, I have Sale in a couple leagues, and I'm debating dropping him or not, even though I know how much that'll pain me. And I know he's available in other leagues. So how are you handling Chris Sale right now?
What is it? Estimated return is June.
He got put on the 60-day. So that's why it's tricky. Like, I still want to just drop him and pick him up in like 4 weeks. But I'm not the only one that's got that mindset. That's the problem.
I think that the challenge is, I think a lot of it depends on what your bench and your roster looks like. Like
he said, he's got some guys that are less than Sale already on the ILs, on his bench.
Yeah, don't do it. I wouldn't do it then because it gets really, really tight quickly. You really have just that one guy that you can have. Like I drafted Ramon Laureano in one league, and that was only because I knew like this wasn't injury related. It was, he's going to be back in 27 days or 27 games, and he's back and he's in there. And so there's like knowledge. Chris Sale has to come back. He has to come back healthy, and then he has got to
rehab still too. Then that kind of setbacks. Like there's a lot that can take place there
for sure. And so, yeah, I mean, it'd be great to be able to do that, but I think you'll lose a lot by not having flexibility. Either additional pitchers that you can kind of throw in there when things don't look good for that given week, or kind of rotating in good matchups for hitters too. So a lot depends on your bench, but if you already got guys who are on the IL, I would steer clear of them.
Yeah, that's why it's tough. Like that's why I'm debating dropping them in certain leagues because there's a lot that can go right and wrong in that scenario still. It's a rough one. All right, next question we got on this fun one. Rob DPH, our buddy at Dead Pull Hitter, the Pull Hitter podcast. At what point in the season do you consider retiring from fantasy baseball?
Today.
Week 1
it
of
was
FAAB.
The second inning of the Yankees-Tigers game. And Garrett Cole walked 5 batters. Yeah. That was it. That was the moment for me.
Pure speculation stuff. Do you think it's the sticky stuff?
No, I don't think so.
Because he got going again last year after that.
He was fine. Like in his first 2 starts, he had a 1.0 whip. He had a 5.60 ERA. His swinging strike rate was like 15%. He's totally fine. I mean, it's from all accounts, it sounded like the weather was god awful today in Detroit. So I'm saying that's probably what it was. He's never been bad. I mean, even after the sticky stuff last year, he wasn't bad. He's been bad against like the Red Sox, and Vlad Jr. hit a couple home runs off him. I think it's still really early. I hope he turns it around. Thankfully, he was very lucky because he only ended up giving up those 2 runs. Clark Schmidt came in, closed it down. It could have been a lot worse from an ERA perspective. So instead, you got 1.2 innings, 2 earned runs, think 1 or 2 hits and 5 walks, and you got 3 or 4 Ks, I think. So it wasn't god awful. You combine that with the Hansel Robles outing, and you pretty much had a perfect game.
Yep, there you go. Almost a perfect game. I like where your head's at on that one. The optimism that always reigns with Toby on this one. Drew, our buddy at Fru_Dorte, does the early season lack of power and possible full season effects, the article by Colette of RotoWire and Derek Hardy, his tweets, affect pitchers or hitters you're looking to pick up in FAAB? Are you using this new info about the, there's more barrels, but there's fewer home runs and all these different things about, pitching, all averages so low, like all these different things right now? Is that affecting how you approach FAAB right now?
Not particularly. I would say though that all the evidence is pointing to a decrease in the home run rate, and if that happens, then I think it benefits fly ball pitchers, which honestly I already like fly ball pitchers a little bit more, and because it takes a real elite ground ball guy to be like Framber, to be really excited about a ground ball guy and to have a huge impact, and then I think what you'll see is there will be a lot less of those like 15 to 20 home run guys, 15, 20, 25 home run guys. You'll have kind of like those elite power hitters that'll continue to hit a lot of home runs, but then kind of middle of the pack guys may have a little bit of a harder time. But it's still early. You never know what baseball is going to do with the ball. But it certainly seems convincing to me.
Yeah, they could change things out without even telling us like usual, and that can make things a whole different ballgame. And the way I look at it is it's kind of the same for everybody in our league, so I'm not panicking in that scenario. We're all kind of in the same boat. But the fly ball guys make a lot of sense. As you said, it might give a little more love to some of the not super power hitters. If you're looking for hitters, more, good floor guys might kind of come closer to the pack type scenario in theory, at least in deeper leagues. So that's another angle you could look at. But I like the fly ball thing you mentioned there for sure. Johnny L, MLB Moving Averages, says batting averages are so bad right now. Where do you think the 80th percentile will fall by season's end?
Oh, God, I don't know. It was 257. No. 257, 258, 261. I can't remember. I haven't looked at my spreadsheets in such a long time. Probably in the high 250s would be my guess. I mean, it's early. It's still early, and it's been abnormally cold.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Cardi, I didn't read Jason Collette's article, but Cardi factored all that stuff in. So, but just in terms of batting average, like, I don't know. It's still early. I think pitchers have the advantage, except for the pitchers that are on my team, apparently. But yeah, it's tough. Like you look at the Reds lineup today, and there's one hitter hitting above 200.
Yep. It's bad. And you look how much I look for DFS purposes. You see how much they strike out right now. Whew. It's Baltimore Orioles-esque. It's good stuff. Andy Splinter asks, what's your process for doing FAAB? Do you check a player's at bats or innings pitched? Do you look at rolling graphs, something else? How do you approach FAAB? I know we've talked about it before, but we can recap it here for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few filters I look at. I look at schedule because a lot of times that's really the determination. I mean, the guys on the waiver wire, they're a dime a dozen. There's not a lot of guys that stand out. When there is, it's very clear. Normally, like everybody's in on them. So there's that piece. And so I'll look at the weekly Razzball projection. I'll look at Monday through Thursday. I'll look at Friday through Sunday. I'll look at the whole week, both for hitters and pitchers, and just seeing like if there's any guys that are on the waiver wire that are jumping out at me, add them to my queue. It's too early to look at skills, but at a certain point, like I'll look over the last 30 or over the last 2 weeks just to see if there's anybody who's kind of like jumping out, increased contact rates, lower O swings, but that stuff's pretty noisy and a smaller sample just because a lot of it will be like, oh, did you play the Royals? So everybody's, got a really high contact rate, stuff like that. So I kind of run those filters, like the schedule filter, the playing time filter, the recent lineups, like how much I think players are going to play. And then for pitchers, it's just, it's obviously just kind of straight lineups. And looking what their value is on Razzball, but not that entirely because I don't always agree with it. So that's kind of how I approach it. I think there's that schedule filter. There's kind of the skill filter for pitchers, especially like if somebody's jumping out with swinging strike or the velo's up or something like that, then I'll definitely pay attention for pitchers then.
Yeah, a lot of similarities. A lot of it's the schedule, kind of how I was mentioning earlier. I look ahead. I try to look ahead more than anything. Good matchups, even for hitters. Like, are they in Coors next week? Stuff like that. Things you can speculate for. Um, the underlying metrics, like you said, it's kind of small now, but for like potentially dropping certain guys you're high on. Like I was looking at Trey Mancini the other day, and his underlying metrics are ridiculously good right now. He's just not producing. So that's one of those guys I'm like, I'll be more patient with. Where you look at Bryson Stott, and you're just like, this just stinks right now. Like this is just bad all around. So it kind of changes like what you can do in that respect, which then adds, can I add a guy or not in those scenarios? And do I speculate on someone by dropping a Bryson Stott type thing? So you can go that route. Pitching is one thing I keep trying to get better at. It's tough, but there's really no perfect science to FAAB. It's more just I look at team needs, I look at schedules, and I go that way. Like if you guys have been listening to the show, if Andy's listened to the show long enough, he knows I'm not a Miles Mikolas dude. But I can understand what he's done so far this season. I know smart people like Toby and the robot and those guys are all on Mikolas. And I looked into how he's done so far this year, and it's actually striking guys out right now, which is like that was always my bugaboo with him was the strikeouts. And he's got some great matchups coming up, so the schedule comes into play. Like it's just one of those deals where you get ahead of that one and then see where it rolls. So that's what I would recommend doing. But I'm not the FAAB whisperer like many. I'm trying to get better at it, but there's no exact science. I'll tell you that much either. It's a wild ride. Like if you ask how to put bids in, you're on your own. That's just a whole nother animal.
I mean, he's pitching with the best defense in baseball behind him.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with your stuff. I was just always like, I hate empty starts. Like I need that strikeout behind me, and he didn't have that like ever.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not being critical. I'm just saying there's every reason in the world to love Miles Mikolas. There's not a single reason not to.
Now you're making me look at something here. So now while we do the last question here, Anthony Gialdi says, "Do you have any sleeper starting pitchers that are worth a speculative add this weekend? How do you guys like your Moose shirts?" You don't have to read that on the pod. No, we're reading it because the Moose shirts are awesome.
The Moose shirts are great,
quality and everything, and it's just awesome all around. But do you have any sleeper starting pitchers this week for Mr. Gialdi?
Not really. I mean, it's too late to help Anthony on. For this week, I mean, next week, I mean, he's a smart player. I think we played in the same league one time, and I think he beat me. Which was an OC, I think 3 years ago or something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is, everybody's so sharp now; it's impossible. Like Paul Blackburn, would have been an example of a guy where I'm like, velo bump, swinging strike rates up, all the metrics are up. Generating a ton of ground balls. He looks like a really good option. And I would have said him, but he was going for like $85, this week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. So I think it's really difficult to find those guys now. I mean, there's just not a lot of guys that are not on anybody's radar who kind of jump out. I'm trying to think of one.
There's only one that I have just going through the schedule because the following week's schedule is not out yet on RotoWire, so I can't really give you like a super sleeper. But just looking at 2-start guys for next week, I'd be willing to take a chance on Dallas Keuchel, who's got some strikeouts in a recent start. He has a great matchup tomorrow, and then next week he has a 2-step going up against Kansas City and the Angels, 2 teams you can take advantage of right now, especially if Trout's still out, which is a long ways away. But there's not a lot of it's mainly aces getting 2-steps next week. So it's tough. I'll say that much.
Yeah. I mean, I really wish I could give you a name, but there's just nobody that's coming to mind at all.
I would say Taylor Hearn, but he's got Houston and Atlanta. That's no bueno. But you could do Johan Adon, or not Johan Adon. Johan Adon of the Washington Nationals. He has a projected 2-step versus the Marlins and at the Giants. That could be fun. So
Bubba just wants you to start him against your team, so against his team. So
the Giants, man, they're doing it this year, and they did last year. It's an all or nothing type game. Like there's a lot of swing and miss still in that lineup, so it'll be fun. But what I had to look up was on the same page. So the Mikolas thing. Next week, the Mets and Arizona, which is and Hicks is projected for that as well. So But the Mets in Arizona could be a fun one. Just gonna throw it out there. Good. Prove it to me, Mikolas, or you're back on the chopping block. This is what it is. And then it'll make the following week's show with Toby a lot of fun. No, I was kidding. But all right, my friend.
I really hope he pitches well.
That'll
Yeah,
wrap
I
up
mean,
our
Eric
questions.
Fetty, I don't know if he's probably not even considerate because he's rostered in probably like well over 50% of leagues, but he's a guy that I think is pretty good. Jordan Lyles, I don't think is bad. I have him on a lot of DCs.
Yeah, he's got some rough matchups coming up too. So
Bruce Zimmerman, I have him on a bunch of DCs. Did not start him last week.
Ooh, was the Yankees or is it Boston?
It was Toronto or something like that, and the Yankees, and he pitched well, And then Will Crow on the Pirates, I like.
I'll say one that's not a sleeper, but he might get a start pretty soon, and people have slowly been adding him. So in 15s, he might not even be available. But Rosny Contreras might get his chance pretty soon too. So if you want to try to get ahead of the curve on that one, not the end of the world. And then I would see what the Giants do with Cobb going on the IL. You might get some Tyler Beatty in the rotation.
Ooh, what about Jake Junis?
Or what about Matt Boyd? Oh, he's not probably back from the IL yet. He's still banged up. Could be Junis or
pick
Beatty.
up the Giants pitchers.
Yeah, that's why. See who they activate. They bring up for Cobb. There's one of your sleepers right there. Have fun with that. But all right, Toby, we're going to wrap things up there. Any final thoughts as week 3 FAAB in the books? And we got some fun stuff. Even Austin Riley stole a base tonight. That's how crazy things are.
I know. I'm still waiting for Eddie the Eagle to hit his first home run and steal his first base. Nope. Just keep on pressing on. We're still very, very early. It's not even May. And I'm telling myself that because my teams are disappointing so far.
Yeah. It's patience. I get so many DMs about this, that, and the other. I'm like, guys, just chill. It's okay. Like someone asked if they should drop Whit Merrifield. I'm like, no, you should not. Please do not. Unless you want to be in a league with me.
Unless you're in the unless you're in my league.
Please don't. So yeah, just be patient. I know it's tough, but be patient. Long season. It's not football. Long season. And on that note, we'll wrap it up here. Make sure you guys follow Toby on the Twitter at BatFlipCrazy. I'm at BDentric. We'll be back with you guys next week with your week 4 FAAB recap and much, much more. But this was Bubba the Bat Flip, episode 121. Catch you guys next time.